Hello again, everybody. It seems like we just can't keep helping from seeing ourselves. We're under yet another severe weather risk for today. We've got storms that are right at our doorstep, so let's go ahead and check out the radar and get started, okay? Like I said, here we go. Taking a look at radar here, really close to home. We've got several things going on. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings going off for parts of the viewing area in Franklin and Moore counties. Tullahoma, in and of itself, in Coffee County, that portion's not under anything as of right now. We'll just have to wait and see what's going on. What I'll do is I'll take a second and zoom out so you can see the big picture here of what's going on. We've got storms that are severe warned from pretty much almost Tullahoma all the way down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So that would be a 3 hour drive from here. And noticing a bowing here in the Alabama portion of it more so than up here. But nevertheless, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is going to include, like I said, parts of southern Moore County. So I would say right around the Ridgeville area south, all the way into the Tens Fort Lake area. Estill Springs would be under this. And then on top of that, the rest of the storm is under the parts that's the part of the storm that's not severe warned is under a special weather statement, which is like almost severe thunderstorm warning. It's kind of like the progression before it gets there. So regardless of if this storm most severe part happens to hit us, we're looking at in the next hour storms that'll roll through that have wind gusts of 50 to 55 miles an hour right here. So that's right on the cusp of severe limits anyway. So got a lot going on here. Got a lot going on. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's kind of like I said at our doorstep. Um what is, I guess, maybe a silver lining, if we can look at anything about that, is that some of these storms, basically these storms want to race and bow, and where they bow, it's typically where they get the most. To explain it, typically when you see a lot of bowing here, that's where a lot of the energy is being taken, and sometimes that cuts off a lot of things to the north being as severe. Nevertheless, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning, and we'll just keep tracking it. So at this point, it's no more HRRR, no more forecast models. We are officially now casting to see what's going on. So let me go ahead and let's take a velocity scan and see what we're looking at here. Definitely. This pocket is pretty easy to see where I would be identifying areas that would have the most severe winds right now. We're going to see on the 50 to 55 mile an hour side of things what would warrant the special weather statement. I'm looking at this area. Whoops, if I can draw with my trackpad, lovely. Right in that area, that's probably what's going to hit Tullahoma. So we may not be under a severe thunderstorm warning, but probably a special weather statement may be issued. They're just going to have to wait and see. They cut it off basically in the middle of Bedford County. Down here toward the Alabama state line, if that, it says it's moving east, but the polygon really is going east northeast. And so if this were to kind of stick together and kind of take that track, it was moving actually. Oh yeah, they've put a considerable tag on this one. And so when they put a considerable tag, we're looking at some pretty gnarly wind speeds, really. And so with the radar being right over here in High Top, Alabama, right there, this is pretty close to the radar. So we can get a pretty good indication, 64, 65 mile an hour winds that are in and of this. If I go really deep in here and start looking at all the individual little pixels, I think I saw 67 right there. So that would be the part that it says it's moving east. So let me double check this again. It says it's moving east at 55 miles an hour, which has picked up considerably in speed. These things were kind of cruising at 30 for the longest time when we first started looking. And so let me run a real quick track on this because that may clip our friends um, and I'm gonna take it from the very top. And I'm gonna kind of take the track of the polygon. It is not exactly east, but a little bit east northeast. I'm gonna be conservative with that, and at 55 miles an hour, Let's see who and what's going to go. When is it going to hit? Let's start seeing some things that we actually know. Flintville, that's getting closer. Huntland, Winchester Springs would be 256. Eastbrook would be 257. So you're getting really close to the 3 o'clock hour. So you got about a 45-minute heads up on these things getting into your specific area. So giving you a good enough lead time. 45 minutes is pretty good. Definitely with that kind of wind. Estill Springs at 2:59, Winchester at 3 o'clock. We'll just have to see if it takes more of that northeastern track. If it doesn't, then it takes that eastern track and stays along the Alabama state line. Then you guys up here in the northern part of that polygon are going to be scathed from anything, okay? So for us, if I'm looking at this special weather statement, I'm going to take a look at Tullahoma, see how fast it's going. It's moving east at 45. Let's go ahead and say, because that's been issued for a while, let's do the delta. Let's say 50 on that. And let me put a track on it. It's moving, like I said, more due east at 50 miles an hour. And let's see where we may, Tullahoma may start seeing some of these winds. Let's see here. Tullahoma about 251. So really, it's really close to the 3 o'clock hour is when we're going to see all of this. And so the question's probably going to be, and ask away any questions you may have. Once this line moves through, our threat pretty much is over. Now that we've got a little bit of time before this stuff gets here, I can kind of show you real quick what a forecast model is going to say for the area. So real quick, let me show you what this would look like for the rest of the day. There's seemingly maybe some stuff on the backside of this that may come in a little later tonight. So I want to go ahead and check HRRR. That would be the 18Z, which is exactly what I want to see. And let's see, let's let it load up. And so we may see some more storms kind of come in around 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning, okay? And so that may not be exactly severe quite yet, but some things, some of these storms could be fairly strong. And what I need to do real quick is while we're kind of waiting on all this stuff to come through, is go back and I will pull up pivotal weather. Wherever are you? Here we go. I'll pull up pivotal weather real quick and we'll look and see what the sounding map would say for that. So give me just a second, get everything logged in here and go to the beta page because they really have done a good job with this. Okay, so same thing I was just looking at, just not overlaid over the radar. Okay. All right, so yep, about 12 a.m. Let's run a sounding of this and let's see what's going on. They're saying there's a tornado threat possibly. Not enough Cape, and I would kind of disagree with that. And the reason I would say that is based off the sounding map. This red line, do you notice how it veers to the right? That would say that there's a cap in the atmosphere. There's a sector of warm air above the surface. Typically speaking, if you go aloft in the atmosphere, it traditionally gets colder. That's what allows thunderstorms to grow. Remember, warm air rises, the cold air pushes to the ground. That being said, right here with this inversion, that would be called a cap, and that would prevent storms from really maturing to the point where they would do anything. And so, even though it says tornado, it may just because sometimes you don't have to have a ton of cape, you just have a lot of spin in the atmosphere from the wind shear. It's really not changing too much of direction. So, we'll just have to wait and see what they want to do later on with that, because our severe thunderstorm watch ends at 6 o'clock tonight. Okay, so anyways, figured I'd go back to that and show you what's going on. Oh, you guys lost me. Something was happening there in the stream. That's not typical. Go back here and see the live screen. Looks like my screen has been locked. Can't really see what's going on. If you guys can see what's going on, let me know. There we go. kind of flying blind here for just a quick second. I don't know what happened there on the side of OBS, but it did not like whatever I was doing there. Yep, I'm going to remove the screen real quick and let's add it back and let's see what's going on here. Okay. All right. You get to see stuff happening in real time here. All right, and I need to move that down where it's like that. Okay, there we go. Well, if you guys can see what's going on, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Like I was having some snafus there with my image. Yeah, I noticed that. Let me know if you can see everything now. Okay. As you guys can see me, I'm looking at my chat off screen here, so just had a little snafu. That hey, that happens sometimes. I'm old enough to say it's not live, it's Memorex. So, anyways, okay. Good. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Um, so real quick, what I was just trying to show you guys is that the storm's coming in this afternoon. This will be kind of a main threat, and then what's going to happen is we may see another threat of storms, kind of about 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And it says a tornado threat, but when I looked at the sounding map, it didn't really show anything that was sparking a tornado. Especially there was a cap-in version that says there's going to be a sector of warm air above the surface. As you can see, I talk with my hands. Um, so that's what I was looking at. So this is kind of our main event, and we'll just kind of have to keep our eyes open on the very back side of this to see if anything really changes. As far as the storms coming through, will they be severe? Still up in the air for right now. So let's go back to the live stream. All right. So, still keeping with that severe thunderstorm warning. I'm just kind of curious of what they're going to do up here with us, because that special weather statement expires in about 8 minutes. Let me do something to the screen. It's bothering me that there's black lines on the left and the right. I don't know if I can. Let me see here. No, 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 no. You just love it when stuff does not work when it wants to. All right. Anyway, so they've got about 8 minutes on this section right up here, and so the question, becomes, what are they going to do as far as are they going to extend out that severe, that special weather statement? Let's go back and look at those velocity scans. You can definitely see that I see kind of an increased. This area has definitely broadened out a little bit bigger than it was. And so you can definitely tell anything in here is going to be north of 60 miles an hour. And so 58 miles an hour is what constitutes as a severe thunderstorm warning. So all of that in that really bright white. And then you start coming up here and you get colors that are getting close. You're in the 40s. If I kind of zoom in, I probably could get some that are probably in the 50s. Yeah, in and along this line. And this is going to be the line that is moving more toward the Tullahoma area. So we're kind of looking at two different things right now on radar. It's kind of the tale of two halves here. You got this half of the storm right here that's probably going to hit more of our viewing area. This south part, we'll just have to see if it's going to take that northeast trek. Doesn't seem like it is right now. It looks like it's going more due east, but that wind swath is growing, and we're going to see what happens here when these two parts of the storm just kind of line up with one another. Will we start seeing a little bit more? And they went ahead and decided to put a severe thunderstorm warning back down here again. So you'll probably see polygons jumping on and off the screen quite a bit. And so if you don't know, the blue, which we don't see a ton, but a blue is a special weather statement. It's kind of like, hey, we've got a severe thunderstorm. We have a storm that's approaching those limits. And then you've got a severe thunderstorm warning, which would be inside this kind of a yellowy orange polygon. And that obviously means two things. It means a wind speed of 58 miles an hour for just 3 seconds. That's it. That's all it constitutes. Or hail that is an inch in diameter. So we would look at quarter size hail. And so hail's really not the thing here. And now we're saying they've got wind speeds of 70 miles an hour. So that's a considerable um, tag on this severe thunderstorm warning. We don't usually see those all the time here in Tennessee, but those are the ones that can do a lot of damage. And actually, believe it or not, there is a PDS severe thunderstorm warning. Don't know if they'll actually issue it here, but I would say anybody like from Fayetteville south on 231. I've got some folks that ask about heading back from North Alabama. I would say if you are in the car and you are between Huntsville and the state line, stop. You are going to get caught in this, and it is not any place you need to be. For us up here, we do have some wind speeds that are kind of, let's just kind of monitor them. They're kind of in those 30 to 40 ranges. If I could probably zoom in pretty tight right along this edge, you got 35. The lighter, the faster. So that's what I'm trying to look at here. 46-mile-an-hour gust. That's still enough to knock down some limbs, guys. Okay, so regardless of if it's a severe thunderstorm or not, it could do some little damage here. But the main threat would be this part that's really approaching through 231, which isn't really our neck of the woods, but we're going to keep watching it. Hopefully, for us Tullahomians, it kind of takes that same path that storms did last night and go more to our south. That would be just wonderful. But that does mean that other people are in the path of these things, and I hate that. Especially this time of year, if you feel like we're done with all this severe weather. But yet, old Mother Nature decides to fight back. And so I'm going to look real quick here in this area. I'm going to kind of watch and see. You can see this thing. Okay, it is kind of taking a little bit of a northeast track. It really is. If you kind of look at it on radar, I'm kind of watching it line up with that top um, portion of the polygon. So I'm going to go ahead and do a track on this one because this one definitely you're going to have to pay attention. And so it's kind of going that path, and it was still moving at 55 miles an hour, if memory serves me correct. And so here are some areas that need to be kind of watching. Winchester Springs 258, Eastbrook 259, Estill 3 o'clock 301. So I would just say 3 o'clock, guys, in and around 3 o'clock is when this is going to get there. So you got about 32 minutes or so before it gets here. So just keep that in mind. About 32 minutes before this stuff decides it wants to enter really parts of our viewing area. And I would say my people in Moore County, down here at the Kelso area, more like 238. So you've got about 10 minutes or so before that really starts coming your way. We'll just have to wait and see. Does it stay on this northeast track? Does it go more to the east? We just have to wait and see and watch with you guys. So we definitely got a big swath of wind. You can tell all the way from up here near Shelbyville all the way down to the state line. But the most severe part of that is down toward the state line south of Fayetteville, where they saw that tornado warning yesterday. North of them, now this city is getting the considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Um, it's got a considerable tag on it. Okay, and that's kind of a big deal. Don't know if you knew that those things could get tagged, like some of you had reached out and said, "Oh, I didn't know you could have a tornado possible tag on a severe thunderstorm warning." You certainly can. Um, so, well, somebody, Scott, you're mentioning something about Nashville needs to wake up. It's because none of this is really in the Nashville area. What I mean by that is the National Weather Service office does not issue warnings for any of these counties. Basically, if we look at a line, which is kind of wild, right here, if I go to Giles County is literally part of Nashville, and then all of this to the north, that's Nashville right there. And then this part is Huntsville. And I just know that growing up, in Moore County my whole life. There was a point in time where the National Weather Service in Huntsville office didn't exist anyway. It was in Birmingham, and then they built the high top radar. And the reason why these warnings come out of high top is just because, or Huntsville's because how close these counties are to the radar that's right here in high top, Alabama. So, um, that's a lot of the reason why, and it's kind of a weird area. It also plays into our tornado sirens, which I'm doing some research, meeting with some folks, going to be talking to them about what are the ins and outs, and I'm going to relay all that information to you guys. So, all right, I do want to say something. They have decided right here that they've gone ahead and issued a special weather statement for us. As I was talking about National Weather Service things, it is now included Tullahoma in the Coffee County area. So my focus is really going to start really honing in kind of here. So we will be seeing, and let's go ahead and do a track on this because I want to see how fast they're saying that it's moving currently. It's moving east at 45 miles an hour. So I will just go ahead and take their word for it. We're going to take this wind right here. We're going to go 45 miles an hour, and I'm going to start giving you guys some community. So Tullahoma people need to be ready. Here we go. Sharondale, that'll be the first thing that I see right there on the west side of town coming in off 55. 256, Flowertown 257, Kaywood area over there by off of West Lincoln Street, 258, Homeway Village 258, Tullahoma. That would be right there at the intersection of Jackson and Lincoln. That would be 258, Hickory Hill Estates 258, Lake Tullahoma Estates at 3 o'clock, Avoca at 3 o'clock, Terra at 3 o'clock, Lake Hills at 3 o'clock, Rutledge Falls at 3:05. Estill, if it holds this part of the storm, if it holds true, it would be about 3:05. So everybody, if you notice, it's been pretty much 3 o'clock. Has been where we need to be kind of watching, and basically what we're gonna look as these storms get in. Will this wind increase any to the point where it warrants a severe thunderstorm warning? So I wanted to come on here early to kind of get ahead of these storms before it hits us, and that way you guys can be better informed. So you share that out, let people know what's going on. Let me go over real quick instead of, I know we're looking at velocity, and so if you're not familiar with what I'm looking at, I'm actually looking at the winds inside the storms. I'm not looking at the rain per se. But we come back over here, rain is beginning to enter that Tullahoma area as we speak. Estill, it's probably starting to sprinkle and pick up a little bit with you guys right now. So what you're feeling is not the most impactful part of the storm. It's just the beginning. It's this portion of really bright red that extends from Kelso all the way up to Belleville, there in Moore County. So it's just the very northern edge of it is just beginning to get into Moore County. And so I want to zoom out for a second because I want to see. Yeah, you can see how. Oops, let me take that off. How much it is severe warned. Um, and so this, like I said, we were under an enhanced Chris for today, a level 3 out of 5, and almost like clockwork, these storms are kind of coming in a little bit earlier than it's expected. It kind of was more the 5 o'clock time frame that I had told you about, but that's why you models can't tell you everything. Sometimes you just got to look. Blue Creek, Riley Creek. Yep, yep. I'm just kind of looking and seeing. Perfect. All right. I'm glad everything's working as it should now. All right. So again, let's go back and look at velocity scans. It seems to be, this you're kind of seeing, to me, this is gaining just, it's a little bit brighter. Let's actually do a real quick historical track on this and let's see. And it's kind of stayed the same. You're watching portions of this kind of strengthen and fizzle out a little bit. It was definitely right there. It wouldn't be surprising in Taft. There's probably some significant wind damage down there, and it kind of breaks apart as it crosses over 231. But it seems to be, if I'm being honest, let me do this real quick. It seems, for my Estill North people, it really looks like if it's kind of taking more of this kind of path. And so I would say the Winchester people would be a little bit more in the path than per se Estill. Now, we're going to definitely, everybody's going to see some wins again. It's just what part are you going to see? You're going to see the more intense wins, or you're going to see the not as intense, but still really strong winds. So, regardless, we're all going to see that. I'm looking back here to see if there's been any storm reports. You can see where the storm reports have been over here. See all these black dots where storm reports have been? I turn those on too to see, what's the history. And really, it's been to the south of us that's been the most severe, which has been good for us. But right now, it's decided to rear its ugly head in parts of southern Lincoln County at this point. So we've got about 20 minutes or so that we'll stay together here for about 20 more minutes. And like I said, share this out, let folks know what's going on. Especially people are so out and about on Saturdays, got lives you're living. And sometimes these things you may know, or you may have people that in your family, like you are the go-to person. You're the me. You're the one that calls and texts people and said, "Hey, watch out for the weather." Like, go ahead, share this out. Let people know what's going on. The more that happens, the better. That way, as many people can know what's headed, especially their parts. If you've got family that live down in the southern tier of Lincoln County, and especially over here into the Huntland area, they're getting ready to get rocked pretty good. Do I think Coffee Canyon would get a warning? Not yet, and unless basically what I would look for visually, if I start seeing these colors pop up, then we're going to get a warning. Right now we're just right off those severe limits, and sometimes that happens because this part of the storm can't develop because the storm to the south is really using up all that available instability and fuel for the storm. And so that is in our favor right now, but still we've got some definitely straight line winds. There's nothing that I'm going to look at here that's going to suspect anything about rotation. Let me just double check. Look at storm relative. You've just got a lot of undulations because of all the wind that's interacting with this system. Um, so definitely you're going to start seeing some wind probably start entering parts of the area here soon. Yeah, we're all getting a good soaking right now. If I go back to reflexivity real quick, and that way we can see what's going on. Definitely got some good rain, moderate rain. It's happening in Tullahoma right now, all the way down 41A. All of Moore County's getting some rain, and the heavy stuff is beginning to move in as we speak. Let me just look to the north. I think this is pretty much, yeah. Which they got it right. The HRRR did, because a couple of days ago, if you're watching my live stream, it was saying that everything was going to go to the south and we're not going to get anything. And that's not quite the case now. So that's good. That's good. That's why you have to keep updating models all the time, because you never know when things will change on us. So good. I got 100 folks watching. That's good. The more the merrier. That's what we want. We want people to know what's going on. So I'm just going to kind of replay myself. So right now the Tullahoma area is under a special weather statement. We've got storms that are going to be moving in the Tullahoma area here in about the next 20 minutes. We can expect winds from 50 to 55 miles an hour. They are really close to severe limits, but they're not enough to warrant a severe thunderstorm warning. And that's going to go all the way from about the Tullahoma area on into Lynchburg. When we get to Loyce and south, we're under a severe thunderstorm warning. That would include Winchester. That would include Estill Springs. That would include the Thames Fort Lake area. With it being Saturday, but there's lots of people out there on the lake. Give them a heads up. We got some rough stuff going our way. Um, in that particular part of the storm, we've got wind speeds that are approaching 70 miles an hour. Really, the main focus is this blob that's south of Flintville would be probably where that would warrant the most severe winds. And that's why there is a considerable tag on that. That means that this wind will have considerable damage, knocking trees over and everything in its path. But you can kind of see little parts right here, just north of it on these scans, getting really close to that 55, mile an hour as well. The main concentration of those winds would be here. And so just so y'all know, a little geeky stuff. Um, where the radar sits right here, okay? And so if I were to shoot a straight beam, that's a straight line, by the way. Don't make fun of my straight line. That's going to be a couple of thousand feet in the air. There's no really way of knowing exactly what's happening on the ground because the Earth is round; it's not flat. And so when that beam shoots out straight, it can't shoot the curvature of the Earth. And so this is what is happening a couple thousand feet up. So definitely less than a mile up in the atmosphere. So not all of this wind is reaching the ground probably, but it's enough. Okay. And so that's something you need to understand as well. That does not mean that there's this huge swath that is miles long. If I were to do a little, how big is this? And let's go, okay. Where's it at? 4 miles. No, it's not going to be doing 4 miles of damage. We just know in that vicinity of that 4 mile radius, if you will, um, it is something that is going to be reaching the ground. So I'll kind of go back up here where we kind of see pretty much everybody in view. Like I said, I believe that this is taking more of an eastern flow. So I really think that it's going to be Huntland that's going to get hit. So that's really not our viewing area. Estill, I think we're miles away from this, as a matter of fact. I think that, how much is left on this? 19 minutes. They made a side here soon to redo that severe thunderstorm warning to get it a little bit more accurate, but you can see all the wind. The most of it's there. But any of these winds here, okay, and any of these winds here, that would be the stuff that's in the 50 to 55 mile an hour range. Okay, so we've got about 18 minutes or so until a lot of these storms kind of make our way to us. I'll do a really quick storm scan on these again. So give me just a second. I will just put one right here. That said that was moving east at 45 miles an hour. And so let's see if it's where it needs to be. Yep, right about 3 o'clock. That's exactly what it was saying last time, about 3 o'clock. So it's really not changed any speed. It's kind of trucking along now. This one down here, this one was 55, I think. Yep, moving east at 55 miles an hour. So if I were to move just on this part right here, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Right here, and I move it at the east at 55 miles an hour, you can see what parts are included or really aren't included in that. That would even go south of Winchester at this point, that most severe wind. Doesn't mean that none of any of this isn't really strong to almost severe, but that would be the main threat down there. So I think, honestly, I think we're going to be okay from our viewing area from seeing the most of the severe damage from this wind. Doesn't mean we couldn't have some trees knocked down, but that's just kind of give you a heads up of what's going on now. So I'm just kind of watching your comments over here to the side. See you guys watching from all over. Thank you very much. Like I said, share this. Let somebody know that what's going on. Lynchburg, these storms are probably entering your area right about now. So my Moore County people, and that would be Lynchburg proper there. So it's probably, let's see, how old is this scan? Well, let's see here. Let me go 30 frames. Let it load real quick. And this scan is, I'm waiting for this to load over here so I can figure out exactly when that is. It is not like what's happening right now. There we go. All right, good. Now I can, okay, 242, it's 244. So this is 2 minutes old. I would say, yeah, there we go. Brand new scan just came in. So basically, your strongest wind is moving through Lynchburg right now on State Route 55, Highway 55. It's already kind of moved through portions of lower Moore County, the Lois, Kelso, down south as we get down here to the very, very tip near Liberty Hill and Herdlow, those areas of southern Moore County. The strongest stuff is still right over Flintville right now. So if you know somebody in Flintville, it's probably quite a bit of wind. Again, that's where that considerable damage of wind would be. Okay. For us in Tullahoma, it's still on its way. Got about another 15 to 20 minutes or so, and this stuff should be arriving in our area, our neck of the woods. And then once this passes through, we can kind of have an all clear. So I see that definitely there's some strong winds. Not seeing enough just by scanning. I'll look at Tullahoma specifically. Yeah, they're 20 to like 40-mile-an-hour winds. It's really not enough to warrant any kind of severe weather warning. Now you get down here, things kind of change a little bit. It really starts pumping up, but it's in this area specifically. Well, it looks like you saw something there with the polygon there and wanted to do something from the National Weather Service. I think they're getting ready to trim off portions of Lincoln County, anywhere really 231 to the west is not in this warning. Not anymore. They're clear. And that's what they were just doing. And so really here's where it is. You see the really bright red? That's it. Once that moves through, we're going to be good. So you'll need to, we'll stay on here while you guys are, it's coming through. You guys can be ground truth for me. Let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. Probably definitely raining when that wind picks up. Let me know. One of the things I'm going to go do real quick is I'm going to go pull up, and I'm going to pull it up off screen real quick, and then I can bring it back. So I'll look at those forecast models in a minute. So there's something I want to look at real quick. See if they're playing. Yes. And so one of the things that I definitely wanted to look at real quick was what was going on downtown Tullahoma here. So, I don't know if you guys know about this in particular or not, but you can definitely check out right above me, right there at the corner, Atlantic and Lincoln Street, looking back toward the south. I don't think there's anything we're going to be able to see right this very second, but I will kind of keep that on and come back to it when we get a little bit closer to Tullahoma and see exactly what's going on. Definitely we see the rain. It's raining some. So you definitely can, if you want to, you can definitely go over here and pull it up. I'd like to be able in the future, I would like to be able to have more cameras in and around the Tullahoma area so we can kind of get a good look of what's going on across the city. So, um, I'm going to be looking at ways to be able to do that. And if you guys have any ideas about that, you can just message me privately. Just lost power coming down by the lake in Lynchburg. Yes, I would say that yes, right there in that portion, right where the lake is where you're starting to see that strongest power. I mean, the strongest wind. So I could see that happening, losing power. So what I'm going to do is instead of looking at velocity, we're going to look at this. It's easier to see. So I would say Lynchburg, the majority of that really strong wind has passed you. So my Pleasant Grove people, I know you guys have been talked to a lot. Ridgeville, Center Grove, Pleasant Hill, Raysville, you guys riding along that path are getting ready to, you're right in the middle of the strongest winds right now. Back out a little bit. Anybody that's down in here, especially that Huntland area, let me go back here real quick. I'm going to see if it's still as strong as it has been. Yep, and they're kind of two areas of concern now. One up by Flintville, another by Huntland. So, but that line right here is where all that wind would be. So it's inching ever so close. The next 10 minutes or so, basically, if you're on screen, you're going to be seeing some really strong wind. Light rain and calm wind at Eastbrook. Yeah, it's not quite to you yet. You've got about 10-ish minutes or so, and it's going to be there. Carter Blake, yeah, we're on the north side up here. We've got about another 10 to 11 minutes for you in Carter Blake. And just so y'all know, heads up, you're watching it about 10-second delay versus what I'm talking about. So um, I may answer your question before you even realize that like it'll show up in a second. So Rock Creek, light rain, yeah. Estill is right there in the path. It's going to be there in the next 10 minutes or so. So just kind of stay with me here. We're right at the heart of stuff kind of entering into the city, Tullahoma, real quick, and also parts of Moore County and Franklin County. So again, real quick, I'll go back over to velocity for just a second, and we can see these winds kind of showing themselves up on radar. But the most severe winds would definitely be a little bit farther south. Let me check that real quick. I want to look that. That's not concerning me. I just want to see what this is. Okay. You can see where that line of storms are. So let's go back to this, and you can see it overlaid. All of that, where you see the storms kind of pushing out, is where we would have that. Calm winds toward West Middle. Yeah, no, it's going to be picking up here in the next 5 minutes or so. And then once it's through, it's through. Good lightning, thunder. Yeah, you guys, it's not quite there yet. We've got about Estel's got about 9 minutes. Let's just say 3 o'clock, right around that time frame, is when these things are going to get in here now. It's been pretty consistent on that. Let me zoom back out for just a minute. Okay, all right. So they have went ahead. Okay, I don't know if you noticed that or not, but they have decided to go ahead and put all of this inside a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, Coffee County is not, and Tullahoma is really not in that. But I'm going to go ahead and say, based off what we're looking at, and if they believe that these winds are severe enough right here in Raceville, then it's going to be in Tullahoma. So they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning, okay? And so that's going to include the Moore and Franklin counties. It's coming into the city right now. So this kind of was boop, last minute warning right here, and it's hard to tell, but the way that you've got Moore County and it clips, it's just one of those weird things about Tullahoma. So while we're not under an official severe thunderstorm warning, you've got severe thunderstorm winds coming in right now. Okay, so I just want you to go ahead and be ready for that. They went ahead and just extended that all the way, basically from Tullahoma. Huge, huge severe thunderstorm warning. These things are starting to pick up in intensity a little bit. So there's high res velocity. You're kind of seeing that a little bit. That's interesting. Let's go here. High res velocity. What about storm relative? Yeah, I was just looking at it's wanting to push just a not enough to concern anybody or scare anybody. I was trying to look at these little places right here that were kind of pushing out, really going up Cumberland Spring. I believe that would be Cumberland Springs Road area right there, going up 55. I mean, not 55, but Cumberland Springs Cobb Hollow area. I'm going to go real quick. I'm going to go over to the camera here, just kind of look and see what's going on. Nothing's really approaching the city quite yet, but it's fixing to here in Tullahoma. Okay, so those winds are going to be right at our doorstep. Man, there's some wind that's trying to push into this as it's coming into Tullahoma. It's not rotating enough where it would warrant any kind of warning, but it was, yeah. When you start seeing those greens and reds next to one another, um, definitely need to be taking a little bit more notice. Okay, so these winds are going to be approaching here in the next 5 minutes into Tullahoma. Just be ready for that. Some of the strongest stuff that's going to be coming in right through Tullahoma. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this really going through Cumberland Springs. So basically, these storms look like they're just coming right up Cumberland Springs, right up into Lincoln, right into our subdivisions. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, the winds have certainly picked up Turkey Creek Drive. You're right. You're right where that area would be, kind of just to the south of what I'm talking about, Susan. So definitely want to keep an eye out on these storms. They are coming through pretty, won't be very long now. Just kind of looking here, looking back here. Yeah, that rain is moving in. So we should be seeing something pretty quick here in Tullahoma. As a matter of fact, I want to take a look at Tullahoma. I want to see what that's showing here. Let me pull this up. You can see it right there on radar. You can see these clouds coming in. There they are, right above the veranda. See them right there? That's what I'm looking at that's coming into Tullahoma, kind of this general vicinity. Because that would be looking, actually, I tell you the truth, looking back toward Lincoln Street right here, going down to Cumberland Springs. That's exactly the path that these storms are taking. So, yeah, Lynchburg's going to get some really, really, really um, any tornado warnings? No, nothing. Just they're really strong. Um, Let me go back here and let me double check and see if they haven't done anything. Nope, they've just kept it. They kept what's below us a severe thunderstorm warning, which kind of truly it's more of a severe thunderstorm that's rolling in for us here in Tullahoma. So, what I'm gonna do is let's see if I can. Hang on a minute. No, that's not what I want to do. Let me do this. Oh, it doesn't like that, does it? Okay, well, let's do this. Let's put this over here to the side, and let's move Tullahoma and some of these places over here, so I can look at both things at the same time. How about them apples? There we go. You can kind of see this coming up there. You can see the clouds right there coming into the area. Yeah, it should be pretty much at the doorstep from that live shot right there. Lights are going on and off. Yeah. Lynchburg, you guys are, as far as the storm is concerned, the most severe part, it's past you now. Now we're really focused on Tullahoma. I know we've got some folks that were down here. Taylor Creek Greenway, I would see, well, just Taylor Creek, but the Greenway, I would say Estill. Um, you guys are right there in that path. It's hitting you right now. Yeah, Franklin County side should be getting some severe wind. Yes, the wind, yeah, absolutely. You guys are getting rocked. I would say anybody that's right along that 41A corridor right now is getting rocked, and you can see it coming in right now. Definitely see some lightning, see some wind coming in right now. All these people are fixing to get blown away with a ton of rain here on the shot. So, um, like I said, just taking a quick look of what's going on here from the TUA light camera. There, that's a fixed on looking straight down downtown Tullahoma, and you can see that rain coming in right now as we speak. You can see it. Just look down Sonic Hill going that way. That's what you want to look at. And like I said, it's making its way. Definitely some severe winds in here. I was starting to see some of the power lines kind of shaking and moving around. And it should be probably right over the top of them right now. And I just saw something change. Did they go ahead and do something? Hang on. I know I just did that the last moment. Holy cow. Yeah, this thing is picked up. Look at that. They went ahead and said it's severe thunderstormed all the way to Chattanooga. They're giving that people that head of a notice. So it just started picking up right as it's crossing us. All right. So there's Tullahoma on the right live. There's the radar image on the left. Can't get it any better than this, guys. Yeah, it's definitely coming in pretty strong. These winds are fairly strong coming in through here. Just kind of check the light poles and watch the lights move around here, probably here really quick. All right, I'm noticing right now you can see the wind kind of rolling down. You can see that it's raining, it's going left to right here. I'm gonna go ahead and mute the sound because we don't want to hear that. Okay, yeah, it's blowing sideways. Absolutely, I could imagine. So just stick with me, guys. Not under technically under severe thunderstorm warning, but the winds that are just to the north and south of it are. So I'm going to treat Tullahoma like it is a severe thunderstorm warning. Um, and you guys just let me know what you're seeing. Okay. Yeah, Estill just got pummeled. So it's like I said, it's moved through the area right now. And well, all of it is warned at this point. They've warned every bit of this storm. So, like I said, it just kind of all of a sudden, as it lands on us, it decides to want to get severe. There you go, guys. You're looking at it from light tube camera right there. Definitely seeing some. And this camera's probably delayed a little bit. but definitely some really strong winds. And um, yeah, yeah, we have a severe thunderstorm warning now. They've extended it pretty much to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that is some definitely some really strong winds that are coming through the area right downtown um Tullahoma right there. Wow. That's some really, really, really strong winds that are coming through at like 55 miles an hour at some points. I heard a big boom. Yeah, Winchester, everybody's getting hammered. Everybody right now. That wind, when it comes in, the good thing is that if just kind of hang on for just a little bit longer, that wind's going to get out of here. And that's it. We'll be calm. Things will calm down. You're going to get some rain for a while, but once it's over with for now. So that's the good thing. Lost power. Okay, got y'all. Just let me know if you're losing power. Thank you guys if you're staying with me on mobile. Tree down in our yard, Hillcrest Drive. Okay. Wow. Yeah. It kind of was there, wasn't it? And like I said, I was like, here's a severe thunderstorm warning before they call it. Um, Definitely hearing and seeing some things as far as damage is concerned already. Carter Blake, very bad winds. The rain just started heavy south blowing. Yeah, 3 miles south of the bowling alley. Yeah, you're right there at the main little trek of it. Let's see here. Now that it's kind of blown through the main part, it's just kind of raining in Tullahoma. I'm gonna get rid of the downtown camera because we don't really need to see it anymore, and just kind of keep our focus on that main line that's going through. So Tullahoma, definitely, it's probably Lake Hills. You guys all the way to the north at the very the tip of the city limits. It is probably moved through at this point. Estill, you guys saw some of that really strong wind that was whipping through. Let me go over to Storm Relative, see if I can see a little better. Yeah, Carter Blake. Yeah, it's probably on top of you right now. It's moving through, like I said, the northwest side, or excuse me, the northeast side of Tullahoma proper right now. So we go back here and just kind of hang tight for just a little bit longer. Yeah, Lake Hills, that area. I would say Arnold Village, you're fixing to get it. The base is fixing to get it here in just a little bit, and then it's going to move really out of what I would call my viewing area. Nathan, if you could let me know what road that's on, I would be most appreciative. If you guys, when you say, hey, because what we can do is we can start tagging this live stream where the National Weather Service office out of Nashville can start to see some of this stuff. That's what I'm doing now. So you're going to see me tagging some people. Just know that, okay? If you get tagged, I'm tagging the National Weather Service office. Okay. Blue Creek, lots of creekstone, a lot of trees down. Oh gosh, yeah, that I teach at West, so I know that area very, very well. So reply. So I may, like I said, I'm gonna be tagging the National Weather Service office on some of y'all's stuff. Don't want to tag, don't want to tag Norman, Oklahoma. Lynchburg's done. If I zoom it over to Lynchburg, the reason I'm not talking about them is that it's done. Lynchburg's not even in a severe thunderstorm warning. They're done. Really, it's beyond our viewing area now. Tullahoma just kind of blew up right as it was coming into town. It really did. And so, the reason you're not hearing me talk a lot and I'm over here typing is I'm just looking to see where you guys have. Yeah, Channel Two's gone live. They're a little late, weren't they, Jenny? Winds have calmed down here in Estill. Absolutely. Basically, if you're looking at my screen, okay, look at that orange and red, okay? If you are to the west of that line, if you are over here to the left, you're good, okay? Anybody to the left of that line, you're good. If you're to the right of that line, you're not good yet. When that passes through, I know you can't really see it because it's yellow over there on that side, but um, you're going to notice that parts of that they've already shaved off severe thunderstorm warnings. They're going to do that pretty quick. Um, yeah, I know. Hey, thank you, Sheena. I appreciate that. Hashtag not Danielle Breezy. Yep. Yep. If you guys tag stuff, that helps quite a bit. Unless you've gone through the training, though, I would just hesitate you guys using the hashtag T spotter. That's the tag that we know to let folks know what's going down here. So let me reply. I've already done that. Okay. And so I'm just letting them know because this is real time updates. That's what we want to let them know so they can kind of go back if they need to do any assessments that they can. Yeah, that those winds were pretty fierce, man. Blew your front door open. Holy cow. The wind was crazy for a second. Yeah, Shadowbrook Road, the Winchester's in the middle of it now. Yes, I would say Winchester. Let me scroll down here. Winchester has just kind of moved through. There, it's kind of going on 64, or basically from Winchester to Cowan. That's where the majority of that is now. So yeah, I was gonna say Bonnaroo, folks. That's right. I would say this. My man Volley's up here. They fixing to get hit pretty good. I know they're still kind of getting ready, setting up stuff, but they are under a severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm sure at this point they have taken cover up here in the Manchester area, which it would be literally right over the doorstep. Well, it's right at let me go down here in that general vicinity right there. So it would be right at their doorstep. And don't you worry, Bonnaroo people. I got a lot of friends that do Bonnaroo, and I'll be giving you some Bonnaroo updates as far as weather is concerned. So don't you worry about that. Um, just in case there's any lightning, because those types of things you guys got to take cover. Tree down, branches slacking off at Oak Park now. That's good. So here's if you, hey, no problem, Sean. Here's what I want to tell you guys. If real quick, as I know we're kind of getting some damage reports coming in, so let me just kind of talk to you for a minute. This is what I would need from you guys. Okay, if a tree's down, like branches, one thing, trees down or another, that's what the National Weather Service is going to look at. So what I would need to know is if you can give me a good estimate of what you think the diameter of that tree is. Okay. And that's when they start looking at what kind of wind speeds were there to be able to assess the kind of damage. So if you can do that, that's fine. I'm not telling you to get out here and be a ground truth reporter right now. Don't do that. It's still pretty raining, crazy, there's lightning stuff going on, so don't do that. But if it's in and around you where you can see it, you can visualize it, give me the location of where it's at, tell me the size of that tree, and that's the stuff I can tag and send over. And that's the storm reports that end up popping up on my screen from you guys. Like you guys could do that. I send that to the weather office, they get it tagged in here, and then bam, it's done. Okay. So let me go back to the live stream real quick. Pretty much, I would say Manchester's getting hit right along the I-24 corridor is where those storms are going, but it's really kind of past us. Okay. Um, oh yeah, Bonnaroo is next weekend. Oh, I know, but there's people out there working in Bonnaroo right now. With a lot of folks are setting up. I've got some people said, "Hey, if it's going to get bad, let me know about it." Absolutely, yeah. So for most of us, it's slacked off. Tullahoma, it's slacked off quite a bit. Tree down on West Carroll Street in front of the laundromat. Thank you. I know exactly where that's at. That's over there by Old West Middle School. Thank you, Miss Betty. All right. All right. Just kind of looking back through here. Highway tree limb down on Highway 130, Winchester Springs, Cooper Lane. Thank you, Stephen. I will have to tag National Weather Service in Huntsville for that one. Okay. I'm sure you're getting a good view of staring at my forehead here, looking down at this stuff. Okay. All right, just kind of feeling sideways rain in Cowan. Absolutely, it's nice to know where you guys are from too. It kind of helps me, if I know that I've got somebody that's following my page. I mean, I can't do it if they live in Texas, okay? But if I do know that I've got some people that are in Winchester, I know to look for Winchester. I know I've got a lot of Estill folks. I know I've got some Moore County people. I know I've got here. Of course, I've got Tullahoma, which is HQ. But it does kind of help. That does help me. When I know somebody lives on Cook Road, I can say Cook Road and kind of tag people or Bonner Estates. I don't want to know. You don't have to do not put your exact information down. Okay, don't do that. That's not smart. Even though I'm a trustworthy guy, there are many people in streams that just you never know who's watching this, right? So cities are fine. Okay, just like I said, I'm just kind of looking down through here. Power out on Flippo Road. Okay. That's really close to my old stomping grounds. I grew up in Herkin Creek area. Real quick, I do want to do this. I'm going to zoom out for a minute and I'm going to put another overlay over. You guys are saying there's some power outages. I actually have that built into my map that I can look and see if there are anything that's being displayed currently. It may take a minute from the moment you guys say the power's out for it to come back in. Yeah, it's this one's not as updated, but you can definitely see down here how much power is out along these parts in Alabama, and we'll have a little bit of that happening as well. Okay, so now we just kind of go big tree down in front of. Okay, Miss Betty, you driving around? Tree down on power line on Harris Chapel Road. Perfect. That I know where that's at. Alrighty. All right. Reply. I'm gonna be wrapping up here in just a minute, just trying to get all this done because once I close the stream off, some of this stuff takes forever to load back in, especially all the comments. So I'm gonna do it while I've got it live. So I want to thank you guys for being. You guys are almost like you're a part of the weather team. You are the ones that are giving some ground truth to what you're seeing happening right now in our neck of the woods. So watch that tree come down West Carroll's. I live right across the street before I grow. I understand, yeah, and that just kind of looking at it, that's a sort of thing that can kind of be scary about Tullahoma, is the fact of where it sits. Because you've got part of Tullahoma that National Weather Service in Nashville. It's always that balancing act, and we sit right on the line. And like for instance, sometimes I'm just go ahead and say what I think in my mind real quick. I'll speak my mind for just a minute. If there's a warning here and there's a warning here, there's going to be a warning here. If that makes sense. And so it may not be officially warned, but I treat it that way. I'd rather err on the side of caution anyway. I'd rather be wrong than be right about this stuff, right? I know meteorologists get made fun of a lot for getting things wrong, but I'd rather be wrong about that as to be right about the fact that, oh gosh, there's severe damage. So I take those things kind of with that grain of salt. Also, too, not with a grain of salt, but more like I treat it like if it's the real deal, especially if there are watches like a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch, and we're not in the watch, but the county right next to us is. I still treat it like we're on the fringe of that watch. Hey, no problem. So I think is there if there's anybody got anything extra that I can add, I'd appreciate it. If not, it's fine. You can tag me, you can message me and let me know what's going on. But before I get off here, I know I got a lot of you watching. I do want to kind of look real quick. If you can stay with me for about no more than 5 more minutes, okay? I want to kind of give you a setup for the next couple of days because we're under the risk for some severe weather again over the next couple of days, okay? So I kind of want to show you that real quick and then I'll get off of here so that way you guys can know, kind of keep your eyes open to we're never going to get out of this. And so what I'm going to do real quick, let me pull that radar back up, sorry. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the radar away from us. We don't really need it anymore. So what I do is I just go down here to Jacksonville and now I cannot see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Now I can see some overlay. Okay, hey, there we go. My Lynchburg people. There are 1,058 people out, and that was of 10 minutes ago in Moore County. There are only 438. So those winds picked up in Lynchburg. I don't know exactly where those power outages are at. I can't look at that. I have to go to like Duck River Map to look at that specifically. But just to keep everything inside of here, it's a cool, super cool feature built into Radar Omega that I can look at that. So real quick, let me give you kind of the synopsis for the next couple of days. So our severe weather threat is over right now. We may have some storms pop back up around midnight. I'll just have to keep monitoring that and I'll get back to you as needed, okay? Tomorrow, there's a moderate risk, but it's not for us. We were in a severe a marginal risk, but they've kind of removed that for us. The real impact is going to be over here along the Red River Valley. So really not concerned about as much about tomorrow, but Monday we are officially under what will be a slight risk at a minimum of severe weather. Okay. Um, so we're going to have to kind of keep Monday, taking a look at it. Oh, hey, hang on something. Did this pop up? Sweet. Okay. Train reported power lines in a road that fell on Clements Drive in Tullahoma. That was us, guys. There we go. Popped up. See? Thank y'all for helping. Um, long story short, we've got a severe weather risk on Monday. It's a slight risk. It's going to be more of a wind event. But guys, look at this wind event. Look what it just did. We talk about tornadoes all the time and scared half to death, some of us. But really, the wind events is what has more damage in and around the city, a more widespread swath of severe weather. So to me, those days are I used to grow up and be all scared about tornadoes and not really be too scared about severe thunderstorm warnings. But these are the things that you really need to be paying close attention to. These are the ones that are going to knock power out, knock trees down, and that sort of thing. So we're going to have to keep Monday in tune. I'll let you know exact timing on that more tomorrow. I like basically what I'm going to do for the rest of the night is do this. I'll kind of just be monitoring the weather, see if anything changes as far as those little blips that may hit us around midnight. I'll come on as needed. I may be staring at the back of my eyelids like most of you do at midnight. So just make sure that you've got, if you want to stay up, you can be sponsored by Alani New. Make sure you have Alani New. There you go. Anyways, I'll be keeping an eye on that and I'll let you know tomorrow about Monday's risk. Tomorrow seems to be kind of a dormant day. You won't hear much from me. Maybe just a morning update about tomorrow, maybe an evening update. You won't hear me around the clock like you've heard today. So, guys, I love you all. Thank you much, so very much for your support. It's you guys make this happen. It's not just me, it's you too. So, thank you for your support and I will see you here in the next couple of days.